Well, here we are at the Taste of Cavan, and what are we going to do? We talk about cooking, and I'd like to welcome back this year Chef Shane Smith. Shane, welcome to the
Thanks for
studio
having me.
again.
That was a good sign when you have me back for the second year.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Shane, I would like to say first up, congratulations on your new gig.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, amazing.
You're full-time now. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I suppose since we met last year, I've moved down with RTE now, so I'm full-time with the Today Show in RTE with Maura and Dáithí. So it's a break for the summer, which is nice. So it's hitting the screens again back in September, so all going well, we'll be back down.
Right, okay, so tell me exactly what does that mean now? So that's 5 days a week, is it?
It is, so they would have...
And that's down in Cork. People must remember that program comes from Cork.
A lot of people think RTE, think Dublin straight away, but the afternoon show is shot in Cork. So from Dublin it's about 3.5 hours. It's about 7-hour round trip to go down and do your shoot.
Do you do this every day?
No. So they have a table of chefs, so they'll go through and they'll pick. So I'd be on maybe twice a month down there, which is good because sometimes you can be invited and you just do a one-off and that's it, but when they ask you back, then obviously you're doing something right, so they're happy with how it's going, which I'm delighted as well, because they're a very small but a really family-oriented team down there in Cork. It is a trek from Dublin, I must say. When I worked with TV3, it was 20 minutes out the road from the house. So, but you know what, I've always set goals for myself. I've always been one of those people that have always said, well, next year I would like to be here, or next year I'd like to achieve this. So RTE, the national broadcaster, was always for me a goal, because I think you grow up watching it, and we would always, I said, between different TV shows of RTE was always a thing for me where I would have loved to have to work with them. So the opportunity arose and I had to do a screen test, and they were more than happy with how it went, and so I'm delighted. I love it. And
actually, I have to say, and I noticed and I observed that if you want to get really famous, one way to get really famous is to be a chef, because everybody knows the chefs. Just say the name Shane Smith, say the name Neville Maguire, say the name Richard Corrigan. Everybody knows them.
I suppose,
and they don't admit to watching these programs, but they know the chefs.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant. People love.
Yeah, and I think that events like Taste of Cavan, like this, is huge. Like, yes, TV is amazing, and I'm very lucky to have the opportunity, because you know what, the country is full of thousands and thousands of amazingly talented chefs, and you know what, maybe it's luck, maybe it's a little bit of hard work. I can't put my finger on it.
Well,
yeah, and that does help. But I'm lucky to be in that situation, but like events like the Taste of Cavan is where you're on the ground, you're meeting people. Like I was here at 9 o'clock this morning with my mum, and it's an annual thing for us. My dad will be in tomorrow, and we'll walk around and we get catching up with neighbours, and we see the producers that we might have seen for a couple of months, and it's a real family focused atmosphere down here. And like that, people will be saying, God, since the last time I seen you, you're doing well, you're doing there. So it's lovely to see that. It's nice to see that people are watching and they're following what you're doing as well. And I've been stopped twice today already to ask recipes and helping out with bacon and telling me how to avoid this or avoid that. And I love that, you know what I mean? Because I spent 21 years as a chef this year, so it's what I eat and breathe, and it's what I love to do. So when people come up and they ask me questions about baking, hopefully I can answer them. But it's what I love to do. And again, events like this it brings it all together, where you actually can meet people and have a bit of banter with them as well.
And folks, I'd like to reiterate what Shane was saying there. Please do, if you haven't already and you haven't planned to do so, please come along to the Taste of Cavan. A wonderful, the equestrian centre here, the space is phenomenal. Yeah. Come in and see, it's just buzzing. As Shane says, everything, the ambience, the buzzing, the people are just so willing on their stands to impart their information, and the taste of everything. You get a taste of everything at the Taste of Cavan. Now, to get back to being a chef, and so many young people want to break into chefing, and it's a hard old role. You have to do your time. You have to start at the bottom and work your way up. It's not easy.
It's not an easy job.
It's hard work.
Yeah, the same as any job. I think that you have to, whether you're a chef or you work in the bank or you're a labourer, depending on whatever your job is, you have to love what you do, and that is the bottom line for me. Because if you don't enjoy what you do, then it's going to make life difficult for you. You know what I mean? And I do see as well a lot of young people, and they might see me that I'm working on RTE or I'm doing a demo with Taste of Cavan, and they want to do that as well, and that's great. And I love to see young guys and girls coming up, clipping at my heels, wanting to do that as well, because that was me a couple of years back. But it does involve graft. I don't think you can just arrive at the finish line. It takes time.
You can't stress that enough.
No, and it does, and you have to graft.
Dream. You have to dream.
Yeah, and you work hard. Like I started my first job when I was 16, working part-time in the Kilmore in Cavan, and that was weekend work and a few hours here and a few hours there to work in full time. But you know what, back that's a few years ago now. I've a bit of makeup on, you can't tell I'm younger than.
Yeah,
but no,
it is hard going. I
Yeah.
know so we've all been in, we've all started in jobs
Yeah,
like that,
and it is tough.
waitressing and everything.
Yeah.
And it is. And it is
You put
tough.
your head down. I think that if you look bypass all of that if you love what you do. And as I said, I'm 21 years this year chefing, and if I stopped in the morning, I don't know what I do with myself. You know, it's what I'm supposed to do, and it's what I love doing. So
when you're not working in RTE, where are you working at?
I'm based in Airfield Estate in Dundrum in Dublin. So it's just up from Dundrum Shopping Centre. We're a 38-acre organic farm. So we grow everything organically there. We have our Jersey herd. We pasteurise our own milk for the bakery. It's a charity trust fund, so it was left by the Overend family. And again, it's about education. And I think our most important thing we try to do is to reconnect people with the land and the food and where it comes from, and we do lots of cooking classes with kids as well, and we'd have over 10,000 kids through the gates a year, and we teach them all about food and where it's growing and what it looks like when you pull it from the ground instead of going into your local supermarket and see it in a plastic bag, which I think a lot of kids unfortunately think that's where it comes from. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. And we have our own herd down there. We've all set up where you can watch the pasteurization process, and it's a gorgeous place. And then obviously the restaurant is the full-time gig in there as well. So we could have 500-600 people in there a day at the weekend. So it's a busy little setup. So we juggle, I suppose, the restaurant along with the teaching and the cookery classes and all that as well. So it's a busy little spot, but it's no 2 days are the same, which is what I love.
I want to speak now about environmental impact.
Yeah.
You know, the beef plan at the moment are fighting to get a higher price for the produce for the farmers, for their animals. And also as well, we're hearing a lot now about the impact on the environment, where they're saying how much it takes out of the environment to raise cattle, to grow them, to feed us. Vegans now, a few years ago nobody knew what a true vegan was. Now a lot of people are getting interested
it's
in
quite
vegan
mainstream.
diets. It's mainstream now. How do you feel that is having an impact on what you do as a chef?
Yeah, I suppose when it comes to, I'm based more on the pastry aspect. So again, that would affect me more so than the meat, obviously. But I would have said, in general, over the last couple of years, I can see it in the restaurant. Dietary requirements coming in. It used to be lots of celiacs. Now celiac is a daily occurrence. So we accommodate and we cater for celiacs because there is such a high amount. Now, we're based on a farm in Dublin. So we grow our animals, we slaughter our animals. We're about the circle of life, and we show, and especially kids, where your food comes from. So it's a subject that we don't necessarily tiptoe around. I think that there are certain people, whether they're vegan or they might necessarily like that, but at the end of the day, we want to showcase where good quality meat comes from. The animal was treated well all its life. This is where it was reared. It wasn't in a big shed with 6,000 other animals. It's all grass-fed out. So we are on that side of it, where we're showcasing where that comes from and animals that are treated well. But again, it is the evolution, the circle of, we're rearing this animal to slaughter to feed it people in our restaurant. So it is a very touchy subject. I would say that being vegan or having as a life choice, I understand it. People are a little bit more health conscious. They're cutting down on their red meats, they're cutting down on their dairy somewhat. I'm a pastry chef. I would never substitute. Me personally, I'm classically trained, so I'm butter, I'm cream, I'm all of that stuff. And if you're having that 6 days a week, there's a problem. But if you're having it as a treat, so that's something I would feel very strongly and passionate about. The dairy that we have in this country is hands down, for me, the best that I've ever come across, and I like to travel as much as I can. I would say that the dairy that we have...
It's a pity that sometimes our farmers are not being treated.
I know, 100%, and I think that it can be quite trendy sometimes to jump on a bandwagon and shout and talk about animal cruelty and all this. It's been happening for years, and it's not about that. It's a lifestyle. Like the farmers in this country are some of the hardest working people that we have.
It's not a career. It's a lifestyle.
No, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I was born up in like, my parents didn't have a farm, but both of my neighbours did, and me and my brother, and not my sister so much now, but when myself and my brother was younger, we were up in the piggeries and we were on the farm, but we knew what was happening. It wasn't that there's this secret of, oh well, you know what, these cows are now going to live the rest of their lives in a field. That wasn't it. We knew that the animals were there for milk, and they were there for... Now, again, I would say animal welfare, absolutely, if the animals are treated properly, which I would say majority of the animals are, but it's definitely one thing I would say. It's not something that you should dance around. Farmers are there because, as you said, it's their life, it's their livelihood, and I would stand always behind the farmers. Their job that they do is amazing.
I say that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Shane, your role here in the Taste of Cavan. So what are you at there? Tell me exactly now. Let's talk about Shane. What are you at this weekend?
It's been a busy morning so far. It's been great. Again, I love it. So this morning we were in nice and early. We had our official opening by Nevin, and then I work with Cool Swan Irish Cream Liqueur. So I am their in-house chef. I write all of their cookery books. It's an amazing product to work with, to bake with especially. So I had a little demonstration with the Cool Swan tent down there at 11 o'clock this morning with the Anglo Celt. We were making a nice dessert that's in this week's paper. And then later on today I'm doing a cake decorating masterclass in the Flowgas tent up in the back arena. So we have, I think it's 16 people in, mum and dad and kids and family in, so every child gets to decorate a cake. So I'll make one and they'll try and recreate it. Some of them last year were almost as good as mine, may I add, so there's plenty of budding bakers out there. That's today, and then tomorrow I have a demonstration on in the Ulster Bank main kitchen at 4 o'clock as well. So that's, I look forward to all of them, but the main demonstration tomorrow is the one that I look forward to the most. And what I try and do, and what I have done the last couple of years, is try to use as many of the producers that we have out on this arena floor. I'm going to be using Barry John's sausages. We have Margaret's eggs. We have Cool Swan, Áine's chocolate, Breffney mushrooms, Maura's jam, and I've 3 simple dishes that people mightn't necessarily make at home, and I'm just doing a little twist on one of the dishes I'm doing is bangers and mash Cornish pasty. So we're a traditional kind of English Cornish pasty, but I'm using some of the gorgeous ingredients that we're getting here on the Taste of Cavan floor today, just to give people a different idea of something they could try out at home for themselves. I think all of the recipes will be up online that all of the chefs will be making this weekend. But again, it's easy for me, and it's something that I've reiterated this morning about 20 times already. This weekend is not about the chefs. This is not about us. I have the pleasure. This is a day off for me, but it's an amazing day off to walk around and see all of these people and talk to the producers and my fellow chefs as well. But this weekend is not about us. This weekend is about the producers, the people that are standing out on that stall floor there at the moment, and they'll tell you about the problems they've incurred all year, whether it's been weather or whether it's been market prices, or they've been up against it. Well, I've been in the bakery, nice and toasty, baking my breads every day. They've been out in the fields checking on their herd and their livestock. So it's so nice to meet these people and listen to how their year has been, whether we haven't seen them in a year or we haven't seen them in a couple of months. It's so nice to know these people, and for me it makes their product even more special because you can relate to it and you know the story behind it. So again, this weekend is what I would say is not about us, the chefs that are using the product. It's about the amazing people that are the produce that we're using.
Well done, Shane. And as you say, this weekend it's about the people of Cavan coming in to see their own produce, to see their own neighbours growing their produce and sharing their produce. And that is the Taste of Cavan. Well done, Shane. Full of energy as usual, and full of enthusiasm as
It's the coffee. That's the coffee.
Well done. Thank you so much for
Thanks for having me.
At the Taste of Cavan.
No problem at all.